Decision Delaware coverage continues with our conversation with Jeff Cragg, Republican candidate for governor. Welcome back.
Oh, glad to be here again.
Now tell me, what's your strategy, or how do you overcome the huge Democratic voter registration numbers here? How do you get your name out to voters?
That's always a challenge, but I think part of it is if you talk about issues that are of interest to voters, if we talk about unemployment, if we talk about the economy, if we talk about crime in the community, those are of interest to voters, and I think it's really all about speaking to voters, and the message will carry, as long as we're talking to Republicans, Democrats, and independents, we'll get our message out.
Now, we talked about the Fisker and the Bloom deals done here in the state. You told me how you feel about that. So what do we do? How do we get new energy companies here?
Well, I think what we do is let's talk about that plant on Boxwood Road. That is a phenomenal location. It's one of the few manufacturing facilities on the East Coast that, if it wasn't tied up with Fisker now, would be available for a manufacturing company to locate, and it would have access to a port, and it could export product all over the world. I don't really think the state necessarily has to go out and find the business. What the state has to do is let entrepreneurs be entrepreneurs. The history of this country are business people growing business. If you go and you talk to a businessman, and I encourage voters to do, go talk to your corner businessman. Go talk to the guy who runs a cleaning company, or go talk to the guy who runs a contracting company and ask him what he needs. And they will invariably tell you, get the government off my back and I can make money and run my business. It doesn't need the government directly working in those businesses. It needs the government allowing Americans to pursue their dreams.
So what's the one thing that you believe will actually stimulate business growth, if you can choose one thing?
I really think it's leadership. And I think at the end of the day, when I was a young man, I came out of college during the Jimmy Carter years, and Ronald Reagan came forward. And what Ronald Reagan was able to do was inspire Americans. Americans get inspired all the time. The way we get out of this recession is when people are inspired to take a risk because they have faith in the future. And right now, this election, nationally and here in Delaware, is about having faith in Delaware, having faith in each other, and we can move forward. So that's really what this election is about, and that's what I'm talking about. It's time for us to trust our own instincts, to trust the fact that we're still the best country in the world. We can still produce the best products, and that's what we have to go out and do.
So how long, people want to know, how long will it take for us to get out of this recession? How long do you think?
I don't have a crystal ball. I don't really know what the answer is, but I know that we're not doing enough. The sense of urgency in the governor's office, the sense of, every single day we should be talking about jobs. Every single day we should be visiting with businesses. The legislature needs to be looking at legislation that they put forth in January, and we're working on a project now with Republican legislators to put forward their ideas ahead of time, so when people vote, they know what we're talking about. And I think it's really that sense of urgency that's missing.
Now, Republicans and Democrats, pretty much, they like to hold themselves as models of bipartisanship. Do you agree?
Yeah, I really do. I think that's one of the advantages we have in Delaware. We're all neighbors. We all know each other on a first-name basis. I mean, it's very hard to be highly partisan when you're going to church or you're going to see, your opponent in the grocery store. So I really think we have an advantage here in Delaware, that we can be bipartisan if we get in there and we focus on what Delawareans need to fix the economy.
Anything else you'd like to add at all?
Just that I'm glad to be here, and voters should look for me out there on the campaign trail, because we're going to work very hard between now and Election Day.
Jeff Cragg, Republican for governor of Delaware, thank you again for joining us.